We have the prayer and the pledge. May the God known to each of us provide the strength and wisdom to perform the duties and fulfill the responsibilities required by our oaths of office. May our actions be pleasing to God and meet the expectations of the citizens we serve. Amen. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Go ahead and call the meeting to order for Tuesday, October the 15th, the Barboursville Village Council. Council members, you have minutes from October the 1st before you. What is your pleasure?
Motion. Second.
Motion and a second. Multiple. Hold up. You have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Public comments next on our agenda. Leo Lake, your address, please, sir, and I'll put you.
Thank you. 694 Coon Street, Barboursville.
Gotcha. I knew the street, I didn't know the house number, sir. Go right ahead, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor Tatum and esteemed council members and all you bureaucrats over here. It's good to be with you tonight. I just have a couple little things, won't take just a minute here. We got a feral cat problem on Coon Street. Lady across the street from where I live there, she feeds about a half a dozen or so feral cats. They run all over the neighborhood, crapping in flower beds. Can you say crap at a council meeting?
Sure.
They deposit their waste in flower beds. They don't attempt to dig a hole. They just do the business and go on. They're a real nuisance, and they're probably a health hazard. And I don't know if there's some kind of law in Barboursville that's supposed to keep your animals pinned up. I know there's a loose law, but I don't know how it stands for cats. We've also got free-range chickens, but that's okay. That's okay. I'm not worried too much.
Good job for cat hurry.
The other item I'd like for you to take a look at, the parking on Central Avenue, at the corner of Central Avenue and Main Street, right across from the new building that's being built. There's used to be two parallel spots there. And then, a couple of years ago, I guess, they changed them to straight-in parking spots, which would be all right if they were all smart cars or little bitty cars. A lot of times there's a big pickup truck sits there, bed sticking out the road and a trailer hitch. And if you're driving anything out of there of any size, like a camper or a motorhome or anything coming up there, you've got to block the whole road to get around, and it's really, really a problem. And I'd suggest you look at that and maybe consider going back to parallel parking there, because those folks looks like they're gonna have plenty of parking in the back when they get their project done. That's all I got, feral cats and parking spots. If you take a look at that, I'd appreciate it.
Mr. Lake, thanks for being here tonight. I will say that I think you're correct in stating that the parking issue will be alleviated when they open their new parking lot.
Right.
And we will take a look at that. Also, I want to give you this number. It's for Courtney Proctor Cross at the animal shelter.
Uh-huh.
They'll do a trap program for you.
Okay.
Just tell her that I told you to call her.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you bet. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having us.
You bet. James Wilcox, what's your address, sir?
692 Coon Street.
692 Coon Street. Okay, you have the floor, sir.
Yes, sir. I've got some pictures here I'd like to pass out to the folks there. That's the top there. Just look at it like that going on down. This is storm sewer that was installed, talking to my neighbors, around 2004. And this first picture there, if you look at it, it's where it begins. There's a rut or a little ravine going down beside the Stowwasser there. Okay? Then the next one is where the pipe actually starts where the storm sewer is going down in front of my house there. You can see there's a grate there on one side. On the other side of the street, that's the street going back into behind St. Andrew's Church here.
On Main Street. Sorry, I wasn't with you on St. Andrews. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
That's the road going that way.
yeah,
That's
that's
the
this
alley.
right here. See, that's
Yep,
that one right
that's
there.
it. Yep,
Yeah.
gotcha. Okay.
Okay, now the next picture is the second one there on the,
Yep,
as you can see, the curve wasn't even put to where you would pick up the water.
yep,
Okay?
gotcha. I'm with you.
Okay, now this picture here, the next one, right there with the yellow gas pole and stuff, that's where it ends. That's in the middle of what I'm calling my front yard.
Okay.
okay? There is no place for it to go. This is what it looks like
Yeah.
on the lower end of it. This is my driveway, or whatever washes through there has either stained or something. In the past, when we had rain all summer, there would be green slime going across that. And this is the road right there. That's the corner of my driveway. Right here, let me show you, right here. That's the corner of my driveway right there, okay?
Okay.
If you look, you'd be looking down the street there. If you look down through there, you can see that they have come outside of my driveway to put that pipe in, okay? If you look at this picture right here, you can see, well, if you look at that, what that is, yeah, right here. You can see that asphalt is breaking away going down the street there. Going down the street, but you can also see where that pipe.
Oh, yeah.
There's that angle coming off the street into the yard, what I'm calling the yard. I don't know what the,
Gotcha.
Easement is,
Okay.
as far as my yard and the side of the street.
Okay.
But I've invited every one of you to come down there and look at that, because I'll show you a video I took the other day when it finally got the rain. The water coming out of the pipe, and I'll show you what you want.
I'm gonna give you my, would you email that to me? Do you mind it, or text it to me if I give you my contact info?
Don't mind at all.
We have a stormwater team who handles these.
I spoke to those people, they said all they could do is put a pile of rocks there. There is alternatives there to doing that. It needs to be, in my opinion, it needs to be finished, because it never was. You got about 40 feet of pipe and 2 storm drains dumping out across my driveway into the road, and what I'm calling my front yard.
I'm gonna give you my cell phone number and my email address. You can send it to both, and then I'll address this with the
I'd
stormwater
like
folks.
everybody to see this water run out.
Yeah, you're more than welcome to do that.
Yeah. Let's see if I can find it here real quick.
Oh, sorry, 692.
Yeah, that, so-called drought, and that rain. There you go. And you can see it running across the driveway there too, down, and that's Mr. Lake's property right there at the end, and you can see it running clear down the street down through there. So I gave you a look from that. Just playing a minute.
I'll address it with the stormwater team too, and I'll have them come back there. I'll ask them what their last conversation was, and I'll come over there with them.
Yeah, I spoke to Danny Porter, I believe he's here, he probably read the conversation.
I'll bring Jason Collins, our stormwater supervisor, and our stormwater team has 2 other members, so I'll bring them over and we'll make a visit.
If you don't care,
I don't
how
mind.
much run there?
Yep, you can write your information down for me right there, or I've got your address. What's your phone?
304
Okay,
544
okay,
4628.
okay. Very good.
Thanks, sir.
You bet.
Appreciate it.
No, thanks for being here. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Y'all keep that picture of me, I do whatever you want to do.
I want to keep a set for the file. We can just keep those. Yeah, just keep those. Little LaRue, Barboursville Library. You have the floor, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you. Yes, I'm Linda LaRue. I'm the branch manager over here at the library. This is Sarah Ramazani. She's one of our assistant directors at the Cabell County Public Library. Brianna Roach could not be here this evening. She regrets that, but she sent us instead. We are here because it's 3 weeks before the election, and we want everyone to know how important it is for the levy to pass this time. Although we cannot tell people how to vote, we want the community to know that we are fully behind the new levy that, as it is written, and it will support all 8 locations of our libraries in Cabell County. We want to thank Tim Hardesty and the school board for reinstating funding to us. It keeps our doors open and our services going. But if the levy does pass in November, we will be able to continue the same services and programming that we do now. So we just want to emphasize how important it is for this levy to pass to keep us open and serving our communities.
Thanks for being here this evening. I'll just say this, I think our additional support in this last year, again, we don't want to tell anybody how to vote either, but I think it's pretty well known how supportive this body is of the library and your programs, so I appreciate you being here this evening.
Thank you, and I also want to thank the city of Barboursville for your continued support. We appreciate it more than you know, and it's not just financially, it's the things you do for us every single day, and so thank you.
Thank you very much. I also want to introduce, while we're on the subject, our I say new superintendent, but Tim was here before, but Tim Hardesty, the superintendent of Cabot County Schools, is with us this evening, and I'm going to say this for the record. I said it at the opening of Davis Creek, but I mean this, more than you know, I'm so glad that you're back here. I'm so glad that you're serving the students of Cabot County. It was the best move that could have been made for Cabot County Schools, as well as the library and parks, and I appreciate you personally for your diligence in working with the library and the park board to reinstate that funding. Those programs are as important to your students as a lot of things are within your school system, and I think you realized how important that was, and I just want to extend my appreciation to you and your board for doing that.
Certainly appreciate that. Thank you, Mayor Tatum, council members. I appreciate the opportunity to be here, and as she mentioned, this is not something we're trying to do on our own. We're working in conjunction with our libraries and our parks, because as you know, a strong community helps us all, and it certainly helps our schools as well. And so, just a few pointers on the levy. If I've got some flyers, if anyone would like to have those, there's a letter on the back. There's a portion from myself, a portion from Brianna, and a portion from Kathy from the park board. We just want to make sure that the public knows it's not a new tax, it's a continuation of what's been in place for decades. We use that across all of our employees for a lot of benefits, extra pay, hire a lot of people, school safety. It helps with our resource officers, cybersecurity, some of those type things. Helps with athletics, arts, music, different programs and extracurriculars. And we certainly appreciate the support that we have had over the decades from our voters in Cabot County. And we want to make sure we're good stewards of that. And I appreciate these ladies for being here tonight as well. I appreciate your all's time. And if there's anything that I can do for you, please reach out. And Mayor Tatum, we've known each other a long time, and it's a pleasure to be here. I think.
Well, I'm happy to be able to work alongside you in the capacity we do, and I'll also say that I appreciate the conversations we've had about school safety and school security and the extension of our school resource officer program, and I look forward to continuing that and reinforcing that as time goes on too, sir. Thank you.
I appreciate it. Thank you
I
very
also
much.
say that Tim and I spent the morning with Baby Dog at the birthday party this morning, so that was pretty fun, interesting morning for us.
It was.
It gave Tim and I a chance to catch up, and I'll say again, I can't brag on him enough that he's truly a public servant. He has a servant's heart, and I'm glad that you're here in Cabot County, sir.
Thank you. It's my honor. Thank you.
Jacob Mitchell, 703 Water Street. You have the floor, sir.
Thank you. I wanted to say that I think it's important, and you know this as well as anyone, that we as a town come together to help that families that just lost everything, including their fur babies, which to some people is the same as losing a child. I know that there's a lot of different things being put together right now, some ways to raise awareness for donating clothes, donating furniture. They have a GoFundMe. It's Lance Jefferson put the Cash App thing on Facebook. So if you can help out that family, one idea that I had, I think it'd be excellent. And you may already have this in the works, and if you do, great. I think it'd be awesome. And especially since you own storage units, if we could come together as a town, especially you all, and put together a fundraiser, donating clothes, everything, and until the family gets a house to put it in, they could put it in like a storage unit. But the town to come together to see the council, to see the mayor, the reporter, everybody helping each other to get through a tragedy like losing a house this close to the holidays, losing a pet, losing everything you have. And I mean, we all know it's, if you ever lost a loved one or a house, it's a tough time, because you wake up in the morning thinking everything's great, and you go to sleep realizing you have nothing except the breath in your lungs. And I know it's gonna be tough for those families, so I think it'd be a really cool idea if we could come together as a community and put together a fundraiser like that. And also, I didn't realize that who he was, because I've never met him before, or seen him before, but I would like to reflect back on the time that we as a town, and you as a mayor, used your discretionary fund to give $10,000 to the library when they needed it most, because it's things like that to go unnoticed, and I think as a council that does so much already for the town, I think it's a great thing that you were able to at least help out a little bit in a time when they needed it the most. That's all.
Thank you. I will say for anybody who's interested, Chief and I talked this afternoon with one of his officers who's helping coordinate through 2 local businesses. All Season Power Sports is where one of the gentlemen worked, so they have all the clothing sizes listed. They're going to be a point of collection. Chief and one of the Westwright and someone else is working on either being a point of contact there for them as well, but also the Red Cross has responded. They're going to put them up in accommodations until things have settled down. 1861 Public House, as well as Oscars, and there's another restaurant, have offered them meals until the chaos is over as well. So I've never seen a community come together as quickly as it did after that fire happened. So those things are happening, and we are happy to be a part of that. So I appreciate your candor about the situation over there, but I will also say that it happened pretty daggone quick, that those things were put together and sizes were disseminated to everyone, and food was taken care of, and they've got a place to stay until such time as they are rehomed. So thanks for your comments. But we will post that on social media on our page this evening as well. We just got the sizes and all that stuff this afternoon. So we'll put that on our social media, and if you want to drop stuff off here, you're more than welcome to. We'll get it to the right place. But they should be in pretty good shape, which is nice because of how quickly, again, that our community came together to support those folks. And I'll say thanks to the police and fire first responders that day in keeping things under control and reassuring those families, Chief, and we'll pass that along to Andrew as well over at the fire department. Lots of nice comments about how the entire situation was handled. So we even had some of our stormwater and sanitary board called out to use backhoe to get down into the basements of some of those houses where they were having hot spots. So it really was everyone from the city working at one point. So, but it was nice to see the effort, and we appreciate our employees as well as the first responders who were there that afternoon. So thanks for your comments. We have department updates in your packet, and there's several things that we're going to deal with as we go through the agenda tonight. I know one thing that we're going to deal with later is probably, like I said, we're always had to get it done, is dealing with Highland Park. But several of those projects, stormwater, sanitary board projects, are happening around town. But if there's questions for departmental updates, and in addition to the work, Chief, that you guys were able to assist on the fire the other night, I received a few phone calls about some assistance at the mall from the mall administration as well, and they asked me to pass along their thanks to the department as well for your diligence in keeping their customers and those folks safe as well.
Yes, sir. I'll pass it along.
Thank you. If there are no questions about department updates or anything, I would still encourage, if there's things that you see or have citizen requests, you can just email them, Rachel or I directly, or any of us directly. We'll put them in the work order system and work through those as we're able. We do have old business, the consideration of approval of ordinance 2024-06 authorizing the rehab of the existing stormwater system in the intersection of Blake Street, Brady Drive, Tanner Branch, through private property in the village of Barboursville, using ARPA, city sales and use tax funds to pay for said project for that purpose and other purposes related thereto. This is on the second reading, and this is what we had our public hearing. One of the items we had our public hearing on. This project was outlined in triplicate, I think, between the documentation and Danny's explanation and us getting documents out to you guys as well. But this is the second reading, so I'll entertain a motion to approve ordinance 2024-06 pertaining to the Brady Drive, Tanner Branch, through private property in the village of Barboursville.
I'll make a motion to accept the ordinance 2024-06 for the Tanyard and Brady Drive.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on the floor. Is there any further discussion? I'll say this, I'm glad to get this project done too. And we're fortunate to have the folks that we have, that are on our sanitary and stormwater teams now. We're dealing with things that are, some of them are older problems, but we're not reacting either to total failure anymore. We're trying to stay ahead of the curve, and these guys have been able to identify, problem areas by the technology that you guys have allowed them and been supportive of to have them be able to do their jobs more efficiently. So I would thank the council for that as well, and I think the residents will be pleased when this project is done. So we have a motion and a second. If there's no further discussion, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next item is consideration of approval of ordinance 2024-07, authorizing the rehab of 280 lineal feet of the existing 72-inch stormwater system extending from Coon Street along Tanner Branch through a portion of the skate park facility here in the village. And the funds used will be ARPA and the sales and use tax funds for costs pertaining thereto as well. This is the second reading. I'll entertain a motion for the approval of ordinance 2024-07.
So moved. I'll second.
Motion and a second on the floor. Any further discussion?
Yeah, just wanna, I think you've already addressed this and spoke to us about it before. This is the lining, is that correct? Most of the rehabilitation will be on the lining or not?
There's two options. One is inserting a smaller pipe through the existing pipe. The other one is called spray in place pipe. So one of the two. We'll evaluate the bids and choose one.
If there's no further discussion, all in favor of ordinance 2024-07, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. New business, consideration of approval of bid for Highland Park, the Highland Park project. This is also a stormwater project, and as I noted earlier, a long time coming. So Danny, do you want to speak to this, sir?
Yeah, we been working on this for 2 or 3 years, and we've gone back and forth about how to do it, and we had some issues with acquiring easements. So we're gonna do what we can do with what easements we have. We had 12 companies pick up bidding documents, and we only had 3 to submit bids. And the one I recommend is Remnant Contracting for $378,118.84.
Remnant Contracting in the amount of $378,118.84 is your recommendation, sir?
Yes.
This project has been widely discussed as well, I think we know. And I'll say, the folks from Highland Park, I'm tickled to death that this has finally happened.
We are too.
Thank you guys for being here tonight. I told the council the last time we discussed this when we had our last discussion, I said I'm ready to moonwalk across this table because we're finally getting this thing done. So I appreciate you guys being here tonight. Council, you've heard the recommendation from Public Works and our storm and sanitary teams for the bid from Remnant Contracting in the amount of $378,118.84. And I'll entertain a motion to that effect.
Make a motion to accept Remnant Contracting for $378,118.84.
Motion and everyone seconds to get this thing done.
You all get seconds.
Yes. Yeah, right.
I'll third it.
Any further discussion? Yes, sir, you're right ahead.
Just curious why there'd be such a wide, range of bids, almost double. Is that just the way it sometimes happens?
Just the way they bid. Probably didn't really want it that bad. Might be the
One was
reason.
378, one was 567, one was 609.
But anyway, I had my estimate was in line with the bottom 2, and then there's some things that I did not do in the contract, and so my final estimate was $382,000. So that was really close.
When will they begin on?
We'll call them tomorrow and give them a notice to proceed. They'll probably have to order some materials and do some layout, that kind of thing. I'm not sure exactly when.
Danny told me it'd be done by Friday.
I'm telling you one of them.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. If there's no further discussion, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. The next item of new business is recommendation from Park Board regarding staffing. and employment. I'm gonna ask, Mark, are we able to talk in executive session on employment matters such as this? Actually,
It depends on what this thinking. So in response to that, the general policy of, appropriate levels of staffing are public debate. If it's details as to, detailed employment agreements or, hiring decisions, that's a different type of employment decision.
we'll keep it out here then for tonight, and also I'll say that, this does come as a recommendation from the park board, and we started the discussion early because we're coming to our slower season. But I'm gonna let Andre Price speak to, the park board's discussion the other day. I will tell you that Andre and I and Brandy talked about it beforehand, and in the middle of a park board meeting, I had a conference call, so I didn't hear the entire discussion. I made my points about, what Brandy and Andre and I talked about at the park board, and then I exited to go take a conference call and let the park board meet. So Andre was probably there more present than I was during the rest of the park board meeting, so I'm gonna let Andre address the park board's recommendation as well as his research for the proposal recommended by the park board.
So I believe you have, first of all, forgive me, I'm recovering from a upper respiratory infection. I'm not contagious. I tested for COVID 3 times, it's not. But I apologize, my voice is still not back. But I think you have my proposal in front of you, and it does outline really a desire and a need to create some support positions specifically for what I do at Barboursville Park. One of them is a full-time position, kind of an assistant, but also a facilities assistant. Somebody that can help me with upkeep and maintenance of the facilities, somebody that can help me with scheduling of groups and mediating disputes and dealing with, meeting with groups for reservations and potential bookings in the future. And the other one is just specifically more of a maintenance support position. Somebody who can be there when we have tournaments, somebody who can be there on Saturdays when we have these big home youth football games and soccer going on, or anything in between. And the goal for these positions is not just for the sports complex, but also for other things that arise, 5Ks at Barboursville Park, when we've got those big concerts and events and things like that at the amphitheater. Up until this point, I have been kind of a one-man show, and as things grow at the park, my job has just expanded instead of me being able to hand off some of these new responsibilities. And I think that one of the most easily visible pieces of that is the sports complex itself. Every time a new group wants to do something at the sports complex, it does add more duties just to me, including field lining, goal placement, additional scheduling, on top of what my position is supposed to be. And unfortunately, those duties have grown so much that I no longer feel I'm capable of doing what I was actually hired to do, which is to grow use and monetization of the park facilities, as well as encourage community engagement, develop programs, and more specifically develop a long-term strategic plan for Barboursville Park within the community of Barboursville. And so my proposal is to add a full-time support position and a part-time support position. I understand that the full-time position would be hired through the city. The part-time position could be somebody that comes from one of the employment agencies that we use. But the reason I'm asking for a full-time staff member is so that I can hand off some of these duties that I really need somebody that we can depend on, that can be trained for specific things like field maintenance, so that they're able to use the expensive equipment that we have, that I can train for a long period of time, hopefully somebody with some longevity, but also that I can hand off some of these other administrative responsibilities, things like updating the website and Facebook page and creating events and things like that. Just somebody that I can partner with and kind of hand off, like I said, some of these additional responsibilities to, so that I can continue and really get back to and refocus on the things that I believe I was hired to do. I don't have much of a voice, so I'm happy to answer any questions, but I think I've outlined it fairly well in the proposal. But if you have any questions, please ask.
Andre, I do want to say one thing quickly to council. As Brandy and I were talking about this, she and Andre worked very closely together. One of the things that was talked about even in the park board meeting before I exited that day was the fact that we're actually depending on Andre 7 days a week. And it's very tough for somebody who has a family and has personal responsibilities to be responsible for 7 days a week. And because of the monetization of that park, you guys have seen the income that Brandy's presented and Andre's presented. That's what the goal was, and that's what we asked them to do. And so one of the things I've asked Holly to do, our human resource assistant, is to do a wage and hour survey on, you know, what that salary would look like. I think we're looking somewhere around 30-ish, but she's gonna figure out from some other places what that salary would look like for an assistant to Andre. And and I think the other thing that they talked about too, even separate of me, was, and what Brandy and I talked about, and even I talked with Andre about, was doing the maintenance person as one of our seasonal workers, because it does slow down. But the booking side and if there's a nice day, and you guys have been involved in sports, if there's a nice day in December or January, those fields are rented. We've been very fortunate to have a great facility that gets utilized, and they are monetizing it now. There's long-term contracts in place with sports organizations that give us continual income for that facility. So that's all I wanted to say. In deference to Andre, I don't want to burn anybody out, and I think that us taking a look at this is worthwhile to take a look at.
And I'll also say that the potential for additional use of that sports complex is high. And I am tapped out as far as how much time I can invest in bringing more opportunity to that complex. So the addition of a support person has great potential to bring in even more revenue, but also even more utilization, which is, I think we want those things hand in hand.
Okay, I'm gonna be very frank, and you do a wonderful job out there. I'm not saying you don't. I just personally don't feel there is enough during the peak months. There would be. So I consider a part-time person would be the best, okay? That would alleviate us having to pay any benefits or any, work through Express like we do with a couple of our others, Pat, for example. And I do know Pat does some of the bookings for you out there. So with that being said, I just think that maybe if we could look at a part-time person, because this is not, you're gonna have your downtime. And like Chris said, maybe sometimes in December you might have it. In November you have the turkey trot or whatever that is out there. I understand bringing in somebody for the weekends to do that. But personally, I just think that if we could go for a part-time person, that would alleviate a lot of money matters, and that would help you out at the same time.
And I understand, and we did consider that. My fear is that I'm then asking somebody who is knows that their position is temporary to handle equipment that we've spent tens of thousands of dollars on, and on top of that, I'm training somebody to do these things, and then if they roll off, during the downtime, they go away and do something else. I have to start all over with somebody new. The next, we're talking my current downtime is mid-December through mid-January. I have bookings up through the month of November at the sports complex, and I already have requests for January. And so as far as just the sports complex itself, I know that I have enough work for somebody to do year round. But I do understand that all of the hoops that we have to jump through in order to have a full-time person. But I do think that it would be beneficial.
John, are you making that kind of money out there for another full-time position?
If we just look at the parks and recreation fees, no.
I would like to see it looked into for a full-time position, because I know, I was afraid you were coming to say that you were quitting, so.
I'm not. I love my position, and I truly love everything that I get to do out there. From the grooming the field to putting up shelter to interacting with everybody who wants to book the amphitheater, finding out people want to do new things at the park that have never been. I love it. I can't do it all anymore.
Well, I think we as the citizens, I even mentioned Kenneth, as the citizens alone, see that the traffic out there in the last year is a lot heavier than it used to be. And I'm sure that you're one that maintains the trails also. And
just.
Can't take credit for that.
Okay.
I appreciate the offer, but I can't take credit for that.
But there's a lot of ground for one man to cover, and that is beyond the one-man band. And I do think the full-time position, I think you could ask most businesses that have part-time employees, you get half of the effort as opposed to somebody. So I could look into it, and it could have a positive outcome for the park. I think it would be worth investing the time and effort in to see if it's something that we can do.
If you don't mind, I'll have Holly's research back pretty quick, and I'll send that out. And then perhaps next meeting work session, we can discuss it a little more in depth. And then, because we are coming into the slow season, as we talked, as I was telling you guys before. So we'll plan on that being an item for the work session prior to our next meeting. If that would be okay with everyone. And that way I can have numbers back, and I'll actually ask John and Brandy to pull the income numbers as well, for you guys to see.
Thank you.
Sure.
Nelson?
Yeah.
You know, I know that the park is growing every day, and things are going crazy and everything. And I think hopefully maybe sometime in the near future we'll be maybe talking about the rec center, which will be an inside facility, and things will start to happen there. But the downside I see here is the qualifications. I don't see one word in the qualifications that speak of sports management and that kind of thing. And I think with this, if we were going to do a full-time and or part-time position, both, I think we need someone that would be in the field of knowing what's going on in the sports world, not what's going on in, how to, maybe they have a book of contacts and that kind of stuff to keep things coming that way. But sports management and knowing how to do those types of things, I think would be pretty important for us to have in the park. And I know you've done a lot, and you said you're tapped out, and I can certainly see that. And along with that, with somebody that is in sports and sports management, sports field, I think should be part of the qualifications for that position.
Thanks for your comments. Anything else from the council? Okay. We'll plan on work session discussion about this for our next meeting. I think probably an hour would be fine. So we'll start at 6:30 prior to our next meeting. I'll have Rachel send out the notification, and we'll go from there. Andre, if you wouldn't,
Thank you.
If you wouldn't mind, you and I and Randy can get back together on numbers from rentals and the monetization of the park, and then we can also talk about some of the qualifications and stuff that are in your proposal, but also maybe some of the things that some of the
Absolutely.
Thank you very much for being here. I appreciate it. We are to the end of our agenda. I think I've taken my time to say that for law enforcement and our first responders and our city employees in light of the recent tragedy. So I'm just going to leave it at that this evening.
Thank you all for being here. It's always nice to see a crowd. I do want to send my condolences out to those families that did lose everything that they owned yesterday. It's a tragedy, and I hated to see that. But I'm proud of our first responders and firemen and police officers that were there as soon as they could and did everything they could. So now it's nice to see the community coming together and get what they can for those families. So I appreciate that. Our next council meeting is on election day.
Yes, I forgot to mention that. So if it please the council, we'll just move it to Thursday as we've done that same week. The 7th will be the date. Yeah, I forgot that. Thank you for bringing it up. Same time, same place, just different days.
Changing the time.
That's all I have.
We'll still do a 6:30 work session and a 7:30 council meeting. Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you all for being here tonight. I'm tickled to death we're getting Highland Park taken care of. Get that off of our backs and your all's backs. I've spoke personally with both of the families that own the homes that were demolished yesterday before the fire. They were just so surprised of the outcome that they're getting. The gentleman that's on our, one of the gentlemen's on our street said he's kind of a closed-in person. He doesn't get out and talk to the neighbors. And he said, I never realized how many good neighbors I had on my street. And I thought to myself, you know, that's pretty good. I mean, we all need to get out and talk to our residents, our people on our street, to get to know them and see, you know, if they need anything. But they're both appreciative, and it's such a sad thing, but it'll work out, it'll come together, and our community's coming together. And the fire department and the police department were fantastic. I was out of town, but I can tell you right now, my ring picked up everything. I saw the fire department coming, I saw the police department, and I thought, oh my goodness gracious, that was fantastic. And it was within minutes. I mean, it went fast, and the wind didn't help. The wind was really bad with it, but I can tell you, I was very proud of our town and how they came together. Thank you.
Mr. Hardesty, thank you for coming, and thank you for supporting the libraries and the parks. It means a lot to each community that affects, and I think, if I'm correct in saying, Barboursville Library is one of the busiest in West Virginia, so that has a huge effect on our little small town, and one of the reasons it is as great as it is because of our library. And I've heard nothing but positive about you and the position that you've had. I have family members in the school system, and everyone is just very complimentary and are very glad that you have the position and that you're behind the students and the schools and the community. So thank you for accepting the position.
Thank you.
Jerry, those cats are on Main Street too.
Yeah.
Yep, they're
We try to shoo them that direction.
large gray one and a straggly gray one behind. Sitting there. You see cat food out at your house, it's big. But yeah, they're traveling my way. The volunteer firemen, and I think Huntington has paid firemen, and our firemen are volunteer, and they have jobs, but when the whistle blows, they all came together quickly, and I'd like to commend the other fire departments that backed up Barboursville, that were ready on call if anything else would happen. I think it just shows the other people that volunteered to help. I think they were all volunteers also, so I think that we don't give enough kudos to those that just volunteer to do that. So it was a tragedy. I've spoken to one of the families. They're still numb about it, but they're just grateful that they were all able to get out alive and safe. And for that kind of a fire, to think that there was no loss of life is just pretty amazing. That something as tragic as that, but everyone home, that nothing happened. So I'd like to thank the volunteer firemen and the police for maintaining Main Street's a busy street, but we were able to keep things going while the fire was being taken care of. Danny, God bless you for that Highland Park. I know you've been having that for a long time, so you and the residents have been through a lot. So I'm glad that we were able to work it out in spite of those that weren't cooperative to do it the easiest way, but I'm glad you were flexible enough to find another way to do it. Andre, thanks for not quitting, honey. That's all I got.
James, I would like to say on behalf of my Barboursville Mini Storage Company, I don't personally know these people, but you tell them how it to be. I'd be more than happy to provide a storage facility, one for each family. I'd be happy to do that for, I don't know how much time they need or whatever, but we'll get 2 units and do that. But with me being a Barboursville boy, that's part of my piece, I can get back to the community and do what I can to help out. Yes, it's all ditto to what Nisha said to everybody. You know, the pylon part before I came on board, that's all I've heard about since I've been on board. But thank you guys, all of you for coming. It's good to see everybody here tonight. But so I would like to say ditto, but thank you guys for coming.
Again, thanks for being here. It's nice to have a decently full room. It's not the biggest space, but it's nice to have a few faces here. Thanks for bringing some issues to us to address, and I do want to encourage our population here to make an educated decision on our vote coming up. I mean, not just to pull the trigger, and for the citizens to be, like I said, educated to make a decision that's right for the area and the community. I want to personally acknowledge the time I have seen Andre for sure multiple times on what I would call after hours and some of them might be due to me asking. But he is always available, willing to help, and definitely there's times I've seen him. You wouldn't expect someone that's already done a 5-day-a-week job to be still entertaining something. So I have no doubt his plate is full, and I just look forward to us working together, discussing this and seeing what we can do to help him assist and get him back to where he should have been as far as growing. So yeah, I look forward to that. That's all I got. Appreciate it.
So, thank everybody for being here. I would, along with the things going on at the park, I had a little suggestion, maybe something that might help on some things. I know that we field a lot of complaints. Somebody would call us, say, oh, nobody cleaned up the restrooms, and we had that a few times last week. And I don't know if it would help, and I'm certainly not beating the bushes for business. But I would think that if we put some kind of signage in there in the restrooms and in other facilities that just remind people that these facilities are for them, and that to leave these facilities better than how you found them, and that kind of thing would maybe trigger some kind of response, and you'll get a kind soul that might come in there and help in that regard.
Your mother doesn't work here to clean up after yourself?
You would think so. I think
Softer encouragement.
If you got half the people that come in and left the place better than how they found it, I think that the world would be a lot better place, and that would be one suggestion. And next thing is Haunted Trails off and running. I would like to thank Jason and his guys for helping a multitude of things, helping get the set up, and we had a good weather weekend and got a good start on things, and there's always room for one more. So if anyone wants to come down and throw in their hand and help out, then we would be glad to help you. And the last thing I want to say is that everybody sitting here, we spent a ton of money today. So when somebody comes up and dares to complain about the 1% extra sales tax that they pay in the city of Barboursville, please help us out and come back and say, hey, you know what? Look what we're getting back. We're giving back. It seems like a lot more than what we're taking in. So
I'll also say to that
thank
effect
you,
too, that the 5,000 people who live in town
I'm just proud to be a part of it and glad to be a part of it, and I'm thankful we're able to do all these things that a lot of municipalities, maybe most, would not be able to touch. We kicked the can down the road for a long time. I was here, I know, and now we're handling a lot of these things, and I guess we can thank our residents for bearing with us, and they didn't charge City Hall and that kind of thing. But thank you, and it's an honor to live here in Barboursville. Thank you.
Thanks for your comments, and I'll echo that. It's another decision by this council that has enabled us to do that, and we went to the legislature to become part of that program to be able to use home rule proceeds. It's going to be interesting over the next few years about the defensive stance that I think the legislature may take in terms of how our revenue comes in. There's been questions about B&O tax, which is a tax on the business, and I'll say again that our 1% is not it is levied on the folks that shop here, which includes all of us, but the majority of those people that are paying that tax are not the ones who live here. It's the people who shop at the mall, the people that have been supporting the new businesses that have come here, and the developers who are continually bringing those businesses here. I won't say name of the business, but and this is not from John's records or anything, but I can tell you that the newest business that we held a ribbon cutting for a month or so ago is doing record numbers for this area. And I've been up there several times actually, and I do see people from Barboursville in there, but the majority of the people in there are not from right here in town, not the people who are appreciative of that 1% sales tax. They pay it, which helps us do all the things that we do for our residents, keeping our trash service and refuse pickup at no charge, not having a stormwater fee, not having municipal fee, there's 5 or 6 fees that other cities around the state don't have, or they have that we don't. And we're very fortunate to have had great fiscal management even before us, before me. But us becoming part of that home rule program, Donnie, I would echo every bit of what you're saying, that it's allowed us to do some monumental things that we would not have been able to do, and is gonna continue to do that way beyond our terms in office. And I think I'll speak to what you said before about leaving things better than you found it. This group and the group before us has done that, and I can say that with confidence, that this group of people has nothing but the best intentions in mind for Barboursville. So I appreciate the foresight of this group and the group that I've served with before as well. So thanks for your comments. If there's nothing else to come before the council this evening, we'll adjourn the meeting. Thanks everybody for coming.